Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Kathleen and today we're going to be going into everything you need to know about being an RA. I attend the university at Buffalo, so I can only really speak about the RA program here at this university, but I've been doing it for 2 years now. I'm currently in my second year as an RA, and I know a lot of people who are RAs, who have been RAs, and I think I have a pretty good sense of what it's like and the different kinds of responsibilities and procedures as well as expectations as being an RA at the university at Buffalo. And actually right now the application for RA is starting to open up, so I thought it'd be like the perfect time to kind of talk about these kinds of things, because as much as I post college videos, everything that I do and where I'm living surrounds the fact that I am an RA, so it is a really big part of my life in college. So I know I've gotten a few questions and I wanted to kind of share a little bit more about what exactly it is that I do and whether or not I think it's worth it. So for starters, if you're just like, Kathleen, what is this RA you're talking about? RA stands for Resident Advisor. Pretty much, I like to say you're just a babysitter for the little kids living on campus. Your job is to be a role model, to kind of guide them to resources they might be needing. Pretty much like you need to be that messenger between resources and the students, and if there's anything that you might know the answer to, you have to be able to direct them to get that. Usually if residents don't know what to do for something, the first person they're going to ask is going to be their RA, and this can go from anything related to roommate conflict to just like knowing what they should do when they want to change their major, or if they're unsure, like how do they decide, things like that. But every single RA's experience is going to be very different, especially depending like where you're located and the kind of students, whether they're first years, second years, third or fourth years that you are working with. So some of my responsibilities as being an RA is that, of course, I have to live on campus, I have to live in the dorms. You know, especially as a senior, a lot of people are just like, oh, I could never, I would want to live off campus. I really don't mind it. I think it's great. I'm so much closer to my classes. I get to really be involved and like enjoy my time on campus, and I think it's like a great thing. Along with that responsibility, we also are required to do checkpoints. So checkpoints are these little meetings. They're kind of like really short, or as long as residents would like them to be, where you're kind of supposed to just talk to all of your residents, find out how they're doing in school, if they're liking campus, especially if they're first years, like how they're adjusting to everything, and kind of remembering those key details. That way, like later on when you meet them again, let's say they told you that they're just like unsure about their majors, you can kind of check in, just making sure that they took on the resources that you suggested, or that just they're doing okay and that they know that they can reach out to you in case they need anything. Another responsibility of being an RA is that you have to do duty. So duty is this thing where pretty much at all points in the entire day, there has to be a person of contact that residents can go to for anything. So we have a front desk, so there's going to be someone there in the morning from 9 a.m. until 5 or 8 p.m. And so overnight, like in case an emergency happens, like there has to be someone non-emergency, I guess, because like the police, but like someone other than that students can go to and can ask in case you have questions or in case something happens. With that being said, RAs are on duty every single night, which means that you have to sit at the desk for a certain hours and you have to go on rounds, look through the building, and you're kind of in charge of taking care of anybody that has any concerns for that night. So just to give you an example, let's say I'm on duty on a Monday night, so I'm going to have to go downstairs to the desk at 8 o'clock at night, and I'm going to have to do rounds. So what rounds means is that I'm going to have to walk around the entire building, and I'm going to have to just kind of look, make sure nothing suspicious is going on, making sure that there's nothing going on in the building, just kind of like looking. You're not looking to like instigate into anything, but you're just trying to like observe and make sure everything looks normal. And then once I'm done with rounds, I have to come back to the table and I have to sit at the desk from 8 all the way until 11 o'clock. And then at 11 o'clock, I have to do rounds one more time to go look around the entire building. And so it's not just me who's doing these rounds, who's at the front desk. There's always 2 RAs on duty, one being the primary, one being the secondary. The person who's primary is going to be the one who is like fully in charge of taking care of everything, and if they need backup, they have that secondary person there by their side to help them out in case anything does happen. And the way we do stay alert of things is we have our duty phones. So there's a primary phone and a secondary phone, and the phone number from the main office gets transferred to that phone. That way anybody can just call it, and then you'll get phone calls throughout the night. And this doesn't always happen, but pretty much once you're done with your 11 o'clock shift, you are on duty for the rest of the night until 9 a.m. the following morning. So when you come back to your room, you can chill. But if you get a phone call, you have to answer it and you have to go deal with whatever's going on because you are on duty that night. Now, to some people, that's like, oh my gosh, like I would hate that. Like, you know, I don't want my living space to be my work, blah, blah, blah. Most of the time, you're not gonna get anything crazy happening, especially during the week. People are like people have classes and are doing homework and are studying. I would say it becomes more concern on Fridays and Saturdays for sure, or even Thursdays, but it's really not that bad. On the weekends, I'll give you another example of what duty looks like. You have to get the phone at 5, and then you don't have to sit at the desk until 8 o'clock, and then you have to stay at the desk from 8 o'clock to 1 o'clock in the morning. And so you do 3 sets of rounds this time, at 8, at 11, and at 1 o'clock in the morning. And pretty much you're on duty for like a little bit longer, like at the physical desk, because we know that on Fridays and Saturdays people go out a lot more, and you want to make sure you're alert by the elevators, making sure that you can actually like see what's going on. And then of course you still have the phone until the following morning at noon, just because there's no coverage at the front desk, and like I said, there has to be 24/7 coverage all the time. I think duty is actually really fun. It's like a great chance. Like, I love when I walk by the duty desk and I see RAs on duty, get to stop and have conversations. It's also fun because like a lot of residents walk by, you get to like interact with them, have fun conversations, and it's like a really great way. That's like the best way, or the only way, that I really interact with students, because especially in Griner, like everything is suite styles here, so you don't really run into anybody because there's no communal bathrooms, so you rarely see your residents, or let alone residents in general, just as they're going to and from classes. So it's really nice to see them like walk by, talk to their friends, grabbing some food. You can kind of like ask them questions and just like talk to them, and like, or sometimes they'll talk to you, and it's actually pretty fun. Another responsibility of being an RA is that we do have weekly staff meetings. They can last anywhere between like an hour to 2, maybe even more if there's a lot of things going on, but usually we just pick a time that works for everyone's schedule, that we can meet on that same day, same time, weekly, and we just kind of go over how we're doing, what other things we have to look out for, any other events that are coming up, or things that we need to sign up for, or things that we should be notifying our residents about, anything like that. We just kind of meet, and I actually really look forward to staff meetings because it's nice to kind of catch up and like see the rest of the RAs on your staff, and like see how everyone's doing, how they're handling their schoolwork, or like what they're up to in general. I feel like it's like fun, and I like to see what everybody's doing. Another responsibility that we do have as RAs is we have to host programs. I'm sure you've seen, like, if you're in college, like all these like flyers of like these different programs and stuff like that. Those are meant to be kind of forms of like entertainment and distraction for students to kind of escape from their schoolwork, to do something. It could be educational, it could be informational, it could be fun, it could be a combination of all of that. It could be very discussion based, different things like that. We are expected to learn what it takes to create a good program and kind of hold those for students. And we work hard on our programs, so I always suggest to like attend your RA's programs. Now I'm gonna kind of shift gears a little bit into training. The part about being an RA is that you're expected to be on campus the longest out of everyone. You have to be on campus before residence halls open, after they close. We have a very long training. I heard that apparently our school has like the Harvard of like campus living, so we do our training a lot more seriously. I think other universities have like RA training for like a week over the summer right before the residence halls open. Our training is like 2.5 weeks. It's like very intensive, and it's definitely like really stressful, especially as like a first year when you're trying to like grab all of this information that they throw at you. But that's how you know that they really do prepare you very well, especially at UB, to be the best at providing resources for these residents. And they 100% don't shame you for asking for help. Like, there are other professional staff that are there who you can contact and you can call at night at any point you want if you have any questions. You're not expected to know the answers to absolutely everything, but they do a really good job at training you for emergency situations, or small things like how to handle conflict and things of that sort, which I think are just important to prepare yourself for working with residents, but also are really important for the real world, because when you experience things like that, like, you're gonna know the best ways to handle these situations because of your RA training. And then of course there's other kinds of responsibilities like open houses. We have to do some little events. Sometimes you have to volunteer yourself to do certain kinds of things, some programs that we have to like attend or whatever. But all in all, it seems like a lot of different stuff, but it's really not completely time consuming. And to be fair, like, at least at UB, as an RA, you do get to have your own free room and board. You get to have a discounted meal plan. There's a lot of really great benefits, I think, and I just think the position overall is very rewarding, because yes, you are getting all these financial benefits, but like you're just like growing as a person, and like being able to help people and like make differences in these residents' lives, even in like such small tiny ways, are a lot more impactful, and things that you're going to really look back at and you're going to say like, wow, I'm so happy that I put myself in that position and that I was able to help someone the way that I did. Okay, now the next question is it really that bad? Do crazy like things really happen? Yes, unfortunately, crazy things do happen. People do choose to turn on all of the stoves in the kitchen, almost starting a fire. Yes, people do fight all the time. Yes, people throw food in the kitchen. Yes, people throw up in the hallways, are passed out like drunk in the hallways. Like, yes, those things happen. And at times the situations can be very scary because it's like hard to deal with it, but trust me, there's so much that you will learn, and you actually practice being in these situations to learn how to handle them well. And if you don't know what to do, you figure it out. But yes, crazy things do happen, I guess. Some residents are rude, some residents are very sweet though, and I think that is what makes it worth it. Like, I have checkpoints in my residents, and like some of them are just like super dry, and like clearly this is just like something that they know they have to do and that they just want to get over with. But some of them like actually like try and have conversations with you and like ask you questions about your life, and I feel like it's really, I try my best to kind of be relatable and like talk to them and like not seem like I'm this authoritative figure, but at the same time relating to them enough where they can have some respect for me. But yeah, things like having those little conversations make it all worth it. You know, terrible things could happen, unfortunately, but just knowing that you play such a big role in your community is such an outstanding feeling. And I think that it's something that you don't get. They always say that like the RA job is like the best job you can ever have in college, because it's going to prepare you no matter what it is that you're doing, in so many different ways. Okay, the next thing I'm talking about a little bit is the application process. Like I said, this might be different for other schools, but I'm going to talk briefly about what it's like and what you need to apply to become an RA. So like I said, applications are probably coming out within the next month, and probably are due before the semester ends. There's different segments. There's a physical application you have to submit, there's letters of recommendation, and then there's an interview process, which I think is broken down into individual interview as well as group interview. So for the application process, very basic questions. It's not like where you have to like write a paper. It's like you answer small little questions about yourself. You have to submit a resume, but it's just like very basic questions about like your experiences, like how you've been involved on campus. And letters of recommendation are going to be something that you really want to focus on. You're required to do 2 of them, one being from a paraprofessional and one being from a professional staff. A paraprofessional is basically an RA. You need to have a letter of recommendation from an RA. It doesn't have to be yours, it can be any RA, but you have to kind of build a relationship with one of them and get them to write a letter of recommendation for you. It's not actually a letter, it's just us like answering questions, so you don't have to like request a letter from them. Instead, you're gonna like send them, it's like a link that they get emailed directly from your application once you complete it. So definitely an RA. And then professional staff, it can be professor, it can be someone that you've worked with, like a manager, it can be someone that you volunteered with. If you're a freshman applying, I would say it's okay to use resources from high school, but once freshman year is over, you can't use those high school resources anymore. You have to use people from college now. You should have been involved in different kinds of ways to kind of have that college experience, because high school no longer matters. After the application process, they let you know whether you're eligible to hire or not, and if you are eligible to hire, then you will move on to the interview process. I'm pretty sure interviews start the first week of classes during the spring semester, and so you obviously get to meet with us RAs as well as professional staff, and we just ask you questions and you have to sit there and answer them. There's also, they've changed it last year. There was a presentation where you had to present something. I don't know if they were still doing the group interviews. Those were kind of where they wanted to see how you could stand out as a leader in group scenarios, but they also have like a presentation thing. They're kind of changing the process a little bit, but those are some things that they've done in the past. So now I'm going to kind of tell you what I think you should do to make yourself stand out and to like really be able to get the RA position. Everyone's going to have different sorts of things, but I want to give you some advice as to what I think you can do to really make your application stand out. So first and foremost, you want your resume to be very professional. UB has the Career Design Center, which has on the website, they have literally template resumes, and you should make sure everything, that there should be no spelling errors, that everything looks good, it's organized, it's in chronological order. Next, you want to have some sort of involvement, and I'm just kind of excluding the idea of like being a freshman. Like, you should be joining clubs. Like, you don't need to necessarily have an e-board position. I guess it would be great if you did, because then you're already experiencing leadership. You should have something that you're a part of, where you're being a leader, where you're working in a team, especially in this day and age. Like, how are you going to be inclusive? How do you stand out in a community? How do you make people feel involved? How do you make people feel appreciated? Kind of different positions like that. And you can kind of morph things to sound certain kinds of ways sometimes, but I think it's really important to join a club. Again, if you know what career field you want to go into and you're very confident in that, like, find a resource that you can really like kind of talk to, meet with a professional. There's so much professional staff at UB, and not just even just professors, like people in different organizations that you can kind of talk to and connect with. Maybe they bring speakers to some sort of clubs, and then you kind of build a relationship with that person, you email them, things like that, that are not only going to help you get the RA position, but are going to help you in the long run, because you're going to create really great connections for your future careers. When it comes to the interview process, my biggest tip is just to always be yourself. Like, we can smell your fear, like we know you're scared, and it's like, we don't blame you. Like, it's a terrifying thing to be a part of, but don't ever think that you need to give the perfect answers. I think a lot of people feel that pressure, but instead, like, we want to see how you struggled, but how you recovered from it, how you changed, how you realized your mistakes, and how you decided to stop yourself from doing that again. They are really looking for your character. You need to be a kind person. Like, they want to see that shines through. And they'll teach you the skills, you know. Like, they're not looking for you to already know how to handle emergency situations. They're not looking for you to already say that you're amazing at handling conflict. Like, maybe they'll ask you like how you've done that in the past, but if you can't think of an instance where you've done it successfully, talk about how it was unsuccessful and reflect on it. I think everyone tries to be this like perfect candidate, but that's not possible. It ends up kind of screwing you over anyways. So I think it's always good to kind of emphasize that you do make mistakes, because we are humans, but that you realize these things, that you want to be a better person, that you want to help out your community, that this happened to you, so because of that you want to be an RA now and make sure nobody else experiences that. Things like that that are really going to stand out and make us think, wow, like, this person would be a really great RA. Now, last but not least, I want to talk about, is it worth it? 100%. This job, like I said, is nothing like anything else you can experience. I think that it's so silly for someone not to apply to be an RA. It does not hurt to try. If you don't get the position, I would say don't get discouraged, try again. I think I've had so many amazing little conversations with residents, and some residents that I'm friends with now from last year, residents that I might never see again, but I know we had like a great moment together. Little things like that are really going to be meaningful, so it's 100% worth it. It is not a lot of work. I have more than enough time to socialize. I go out whenever I want to. You're a human being, and they don't want to restrict you from being able to do what you want to do for fun. They put academics first. They understand that you're a student. It's just a really great balance of everyone just being on your team. Like, we're all supporting each other as RAs, and for the residents that really are willing to accept our help and to willing to hear our advice, those are going to be the moments that are going to be well worth having this job. So if you guys haven't already thought about being an RA, I definitely do recommend you to do so. If you guys have any further questions of things about being an RA, experiences, questions about the application process, maybe you're worried about something, please do comment those down below. Feel free to Instagram DM me as well. I love when I get messages from you guys, but that's all that I have for this video. I really do hope you guys enjoyed it, and as always, let me know if you guys have any other video requests or suggestions. Also put those in the comments down below. Don't forget to turn on post notifications, give this video a big thumbs up, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm so close to at 500 subscribers. Thank you guys so much. But otherwise, I will see you all in my next video. Bye.